Peter Grant.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm grateful for the chance to make a few comments on tonight's debate. Unlike the right honourable lady who originally sponsored the bill, we will be supporting the Lords on the amendments because, from our point of view, they tidy up some of the wording in the two main subsections. I think they put the original wording into a more effective and a slightly tighter wording. I want to pick up on some of the questions we've been asked from across the chamber. Has there ever been such a major constitutional change rushed through in such a hurry? Well, English votes for English laws is the most significant constitutional change in the last 30 years. That didn't even have an Act of Parliament before it was put through. The Westminster power grab, driving a coach and horses through the devolution settlement. 19 minutes of debate. The entire Scottish contingent of 59 MPs were allowed one word during that debate. We were allowed to say no, and then we were outvoted in that debate. So don't talk to anyone on this side, or ERG shouldn't be talking to anyone on this side about lack of democratic process. No, thanks to his friends, I've got very little time to speak, and I don't want to take up the time that I'm sure the Minister will want to take towards the end. But the right honourable gentleman from Stone, who I have a great deal of respect for the length of service he's given to this House, but simply he got his facts wrong. He spoke about when Oliver Cromwell addressed this Parliament. Oliver Cromwell had been dead for 50 years before this Parliament existed. And that's even if you mean this Parliament being the Parliament of Great Britain. Of course, the Parliament of the United Kingdom didn't come along for another 100 years after that. And even, I suspect that even with the protection of the Almighty, Oliver Cromwell wouldn't have smelt too nice if he came in here 150 years later. And as for this nonsense, that because an Act of Parliament was passed in the previous Parliament, this Parliament isn't allowed to do anything about it. What happened to the sacred principle that no Parliament can bind the successor? If that principle didn't exist, we wouldn't need elections at all, but some people on the other side think that having elections is some kind of democratic outrage. They shouldn't be allowed. People don't need the chance to change their minds. But they also say that in the 2017 election, over 80% of people voted for the two major UK parties whose manifestos said they would respect the result of the referendum. I think that was a mistake by Labour, but it can't be changed now. But 2015, 85% of people voted for parties that said they wanted to stay in the European Union. So how can it be that between 2015 and 2017, 80% of the people are allowed to change their minds, and between 2016 and 2019, 3% are not allowed to change their minds? And as for this idea that everybody knew what they were doing in 2016, no less a person, the Attorney-General himself, admitted this weekend that he had misunderstood, and the government had underestimated just how complicated it was going to be. Mr Speaker, if the government's chief legal adviser didn't realise how complicated it was going to be, what chance did 33 million other people in casting their votes? And it's right that Labour supported Article 50 at the time. Labour made a lot of mistakes at the start of this process, a lot of serious tactical mistakes. I'm pleased that some of them are now coming round to understand and to try to make good those mistakes. I'm a bit worried that the leader might be about to make the biggest tactical mistake on Brexit of the whole lot, but hopefully we can be pulled back from that. But you know, Mr Speaker, the single biggest difficulty here, as has been said, is that the Prime Minister has made a mess of these negotiations from day one. Members opposite complain about the number of times that she promised we're leaving on the 29th of March, as if that was some kind of date handed down in tablets of stone on Mount Sinai. Just another example, Mr Speaker, where the Prime Minister has created utterly impossible expectations. And I'm sorry, but if the Prime Minister's impossible expectations cause problems for the Conservative Party, that is not my problem. And I long to see the day when it is no longer Scotland's problem, because far too much of the debate about Brexit has not been about what's in the best interests of this generation. It's paid no regard at all to the interests of future generations. It's been all about what's in the best interests of the Conservative Party. It might be best for us all, Mr Speaker, if the Conservative Party's existential crisis came to its natural conclusion and the rest of us got on with building a better nation, a better set of nations and a better society for ourselves and our descendants.